Hi, I'm Gene Parente of Golf Laboratories, and I'd like to talk to you today about driver ball flight. It's one of my pet peeves for amateur players. I see a lot of inefficient ball flights that players think are good ball flights, and one of the things that I've been fortunate about here is we test everything. And not only do we test everything, but we test every different type of swing. The robot behind me can duplicate any ball flight, and the launch monitors can capture it. And here's what I've learned. Most players think a higher ball flight is better. And if you hit the ball high, and one of the reasons is most players swing over the top and they hit down and hit low slices. So when they finally get the ball in the air, they're really excited. But what I've found is most players have a tendency, even when they hit a high ball flight, to have too much spin. And too much spin is the robber of distance unless you're below 70 miles per hour. But let's just take kind of I like to go on the bell curve philosophy of golfers, and the average club head speed somewhere between 92 and 95 miles an hour. So let's take that sweet spot between 88 and 96 miles per hour. The ultimate ball flight you want is a launch angle generally above 10.5 to 11 degrees. We'll say somewhere about 12 degrees optimal, and a spin rate of about 2,500 RPM. Now, if you don't have access to a launch monitor, the question is, how do I know that I'm getting that? Here are a couple tips that you can learn on the range. When you're looking at your ball flight, the ultimate ball flight is this: a parabolic ball flight, in which you get nice lift, but when the ball reaches its peak, it has a tendency of descending. And if you drew an arc looking at the ball on the side, both sides would be equal. That's why it's called a parabolic ball flight. Most amateurs, when they finally get the ball in the air, have this occur. The ball goes up on a nice angle, and then it flares. And as soon as you see that flare, that is excess spin causing that ball to lift. And if you have a little bit of wind, it will be exaggerated and the ball will go up and it will come straight down. You'll see a couple things. One, you hit a great shot, but it went nowhere because it dropped. And two, the ball is very susceptible to the wind. So what we want to look at when we look at ball flight, if we don't have a launch monitor, and we've talked about this in the past as far as negative attack angle and launch angle and loft, is we want to try to get the sweet spot in which we get the right launch that's creating more of that parabolic ball flight. The other downside is if the ball flight is too low. We all know what that looks like. The ball drops out of the sky, it doesn't run very far. That one's easy to fix because we can start swinging up on the ball. But what we want to do is when we swing up on the ball, and remembering angle of attack, we want that angle of attack to be more positive. But visually, we can look at that ball flight and look at that peak. And when you see the peak of that ball, you want to see the ball start to descend on the other side, not flare. If it starts to descend and it's got nice height, you know you have the proper ball flight.